The first thing that people notice about me is the dark scar under my right eye. While this surprises them, what shocks them even more is when I tell them it happened due to a fork. That's right. Someone tried to kill me with the fork, but they ended up leaving me with non-lethal injuries and a ready-made conversation starter. 3 years ago. Unlike many of my friends, I had rented out a one-bedroom apartment a mile away from campus. While I did miss the social aspect of college, this was my final year and I couldn't afford any distractions. Like most things that escalate, this started out rather harmlessly as well. One morning, I opened the front door to find a bouquet of flowers. Not just any flowers. Lilies. My favorite. A note was also attached, with the words, "Just an admirer," printed in a bold font. A very small part of me was creeped out, but mostly, I simply forgot about this incident. Until a month had passed. A second note lay on the door, and this time there were no flowers accompanying it. A thank you would have been nice. The sentence read like an accusation. I was genuinely puzzled. Who was I supposed to thank if I didn't even know who it was? Once more, I let the incident fade away, pretty much to the back of my mind. It was the third note that well and truly creeped me out and forced me to face the reality that I might be dealing with a stalker. The note was very brisk and chilling in its simplicity. "I am watching you." Rather terrified, I didn't go to college that day. Instead, I spent the entire time scouring the apartment for any signs of hidden devices or cameras. Any sort of video or audio recording equipment at all. There was nothing. Just my own AirPods and my very own video camera. While this was a relief, it still begged the question as to how my stalker was watching me. They might have just been bluffing, but I couldn't afford to take any chances, especially because I lived alone. While my instinct was to think that the stalker was a man, the rather distant nature of the communication did make me wonder if it was a woman instead. It was when the fourth note came that I realized that things had gone beyond a point of no return. My life was in very imminent danger. You might be thinking I was being dramatic, but the fourth note wasn't a note at all. It was a photo of me, taken while I was at the neighborhood cafe. The image was clearly taken by someone standing at an angle outside the cafe. What was more alarming was the fact that the photo was crossed out with dark red permanent marker. That night, I called up my mother, who immediately advised me to go talk to the police. I did so, and while the officers at the station were helpful, there was nothing legally they could do, since I was not yet harmed. Not physically anyway. I am sorry, it's just how the system works. Things didn't improve much over the next month. I was receiving a note every week by now. Like clockwork. Very nondescript pictures of me doing activities. Going to the cafe, taking the garbage out, taking a stroll in front of my house while on my phone. Although it was very creepy, it was still nothing actionable. I did keep on sending these notes over to the police, but my stalker was clever. The paper on which the notes were written was ordinary, available at any stationery shop. And since they were all typed out, there was no possibility of any handwriting analysis. It must have been around the time the ninth note came when I finally realized something. The stalker knew what I was doing and where I was at almost all times. There was, however, no video recording equipment in the house, except for my own video camera, which I hadn't used for almost 2 years now. I switched it on, and there it was. A small dove light right at the top. The camera had clearly been on for a while then. Opening up the home screen gave me another shock. The screensaver was 2 dark brown eyes, staring back at me. Out of pure instinct, I dropped the camera, and it landed with a thud on the floor. But it didn't break. This had to be my stalker. All I had to go upon were brown eyes, and it could have been anyone. Things were escalating, as the next note made very clear. Tonight, we finally meet. I was extremely shaken up now. Was this actionable? I went to the police again, and they said they still couldn't help me. The note did not fall under the category of a threat. I spent the remainder of the day in a state of half panic and half terror, until I couldn't distinguish between the two. Two questions ran through my head like a loop. Was my stalker a man or a woman? And would they knock or walk straight in? Because at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to know they had a key to my place. At around 8:15, I heard someone knock. Quietly, I made my way to the kitchen. Picking up a knife, I waited. "Claire, I am here." It was the voice of a woman. Did she really expect me to simply wait for her, unprepared? I did not speak a word. First, I tried with Lily's. "Why did you not respond?" Her next words held a more menacing tone. "I have a fork." "Well, I have a knife, you psychotic stalker," is what I wanted to say. But I kept my mouth shut. I did not see or hear it coming. But all of a sudden, I felt a warm sensation on my cheek, just below my right eye, and could see blood dripping on the floor. Footsteps rushed past me, but I was too numb and too much in shock to move. The next morning, I found a bloody fork on the kitchen floor. I did not want to go to the emergency room, but the wound had set in deep, and eventually I had no choice. A week later, I got another note. "Sorry. I just really wanted to have a chat with you. Hope you got that cheek of yours looked at." That was the last time I ever got a note from my stalker. She's probably still out there somewhere, and someday I hope to have my revenge.